Chineke na nke pụrụ ihe niile. Onye ọ bụ naanị ya na-azọpụta. Onye ọ bụ naanị ya bụ okwu ya niile bụ ihe na amen. Anyị wee na-asị ezi ebube dị ngọzi na n'ụtụtụ na-eja mma na nsọpụrụ site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi. Ise, ise, ise.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, wherever you're joining me from. I appreciate you, and I say, may Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to bless and guide everybody. Thank you so much for joining. This program today, we are going to try to talk about issue of things that are happening in the contemporary called Nigeria. We don't want to be distracted. We are not going to face people who are irrelevant. We are not going to be talking about irrelevant things. We will concentrate on the problem which we are having. Just like Mazen Nandegana have always said, you face the head, cut off the head, and all the body will disappear. That is what we are targeting. You can see for a very long time, people are being distracted on the real issue, the real enemy. It seems as if the enemy is no longer working. The enemy is still very active, very, very active. The enemy have become so active that they have used deception and distraction to distract people. There is distraction everywhere. When you have to talk about the issue of Nigeria, there is distraction. And I'm telling you, as we are preparing to go into 2022, I expect every single person who called him or herself a Biafran, Uruduan, or even people who claim to be one Nigerian, you need to clear your brain and be sane. We are going to enter into a very critical period in that very country called Nigeria. I call it the end of time. 2022 is going to be the end of time. It doesn't matter how they try. You see the way they are trying to change the whole narrative. Have you asked yourself, why is it that people are no longer talking about the Fulani herdsmen that are killing people right, left, and center? Go to their conventional media. It is very difficult to hear them talking about the Fulani herdsmen that are killing people. You don't hear it anymore. Do you think that the Fulani herdsmen have stopped killing? They have not stopped. The fourth most dangerous terrorist group in the world, the Fulani herdsmen, the Mieti Allah, the Magban, they are still in operation and they are still killing up to this very minute. But the conventional media is not reporting it. They are not reporting it. Instead, they are pretending that all is well. They are pretending from all corners, from all angles that all is well. But you and I know that all is not well. All is not well. Have you asked yourself, why is it that people are no longer talking about the Fulani herdsmen, the killer headers that are killing people? They have succeeded in renaming them. They first of all started by renaming them to bandits. They renamed them bandits in order to give them more time, to buy time. When they rename them bandits, people begin to recognize that these bandits they're talking about are the same Fulani herdsmen that we're talking about. Go and check the pictures and videos of bandits that you've been seeing. They are all Fulanis. Every video you see of bandits, go and check. Go back, go to the social media, you see a lot of those videos. Go and check those videos. Those videos you are seeing are all bandits. They are all Fulanis. They are all Fulanis, and this is the fact. It is not a hate speech. Sometimes when you begin to talk about the reality of things, the truth of the matter in the contemporary economy, people call it a hate speech. It is not a hate speech. It is the truth. But they decide to term it hate speech when we are talking about it. It is not a hate speech. Go and make verification. Every terrorist organization in the contemporary called Nigeria is headed by the Fulanis, run by the Fulanis. This is the truth and nothing but the truth. But people fail to talk about it. You cannot hear what I'm telling you now in the conventional media. They won't tell you that. The conventional media will not tell you that. Instead, the conventional media are trying to help them to change the narrative. One of the major reasons we are coming online on daily basis. One of the major reasons I'm coming online on daily basis to make sure that the conventional media do not change the narrative. The conventional media in Nigeria have been bought over. All of them, from A to Z, they have been bought over. They can't even stand up to the government. Sometimes I blame them, sometimes I don't blame them because they are there for business. The conventional media, they are there for their own business. They are not like our own, we are independent. Nobody's paying me. I'm not expecting payment from anybody. I am doing what is supposed to be done for humanity. That is what I'm doing. You don't compare it to the conventional media. In the conventional media, they are fighting, they are working for their money. That is why sometimes when you blame them, you don't blame them much. The only thing you have to do, after you blame them, you come out and say the truth. Speak up by your own self. If you cannot come and make a video, share the videos you are seeing. When you see video of people who are speaking up about what is happening in the country of Nigeria, you share the video. You can equally share the information of what is happening in your own area. It doesn't matter your tribe. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your location. Anything that is happening in your own area, share it with people so that they can be able to bring it to the front corner, so that the world will know what is happening. The contraption called Nigeria is using their government and their media to make sure that they play down the situation of Nigeria when everybody knows that the situation is terrible. As we are speaking, the northern part of Nigeria is in the hand of the terrorists. The terrorist is in charge of the northern part of Nigeria. And it is not a blackmail. It is not a lie. It is not a joke. It is reality. It is reality. But these people have finally handed over the northern part of Nigeria to the terrorists, and they are not talking about it. Instead, they are focusing on the southern part of Nigeria, where we have a peaceful environment, where we have people who are sane, people who don't want trouble, people who only want to have their self-determination, people who are asking for legitimate rights. This is people they are going after. But the terrorists who have come to kill, to steal, and to destroy, they are not doing anything about it. They are not doing anything about it. And the media is not helping matter. The media is helping them to promote their propaganda. The media cannot tell us the people that the Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen are killing. You see them when they come to tell us that Fulani herdsmen, that the Boko Haram members are repenting. When they talk about the repentance Boko Haram, you will see their media come with full force. They will come out with full force, begin to push out information that they have repented. Repent where? Repent from what to what? Repent from, how can a terrorist repent? Repent from what to what? How do you rehabilitate a terrorist? On what planet do you rehabilitate a terrorist? A terrorist that doesn't have any other agenda. He doesn't have any other means of livelihood than to kill people and cause pain in the life of people. How do you rehabilitate such a people? How? But this is the propaganda they are pushing. They push this propaganda, they continue to push this propaganda out, and the conventional media help them to push it out. They do not talk about the Fulani headers, who are the common enemy. The common enemy in the country of Nigeria are Fulani headers. And these Fulanis are not indigenous to Nigeria. They are not. Fulanis are not indigenous. These people come all the way from Sahel. They enter to Nigeria. Nigerian indigenous tribe are wonderful people. Nigerian indigenous tribe, they are very loving, very welcoming, and very peaceful people. That was why, because of their love, they welcome the Fulanis. Our Hausa brothers welcome these Fulanis into Nigeria. When the Hausas welcome Fulani, instead of Fulanis to make use of that very opportunity that was given to them, they turned the Hausas against themselves. They started their terrorism. The first terrorist in Nigeria was a Fulani man, Othman Danfodio, a Fulani man. The first terrorist ever in Nigeria, a Fulani man, Othman Danfodio. He came in and began to kill all the Hausa leaders. He began to kill Hausa leaders using his own Hausa people. Hausa people thought they were dealing with human. They came into religion, telling them about Islam. They are preaching Islam to them, not knowing that the kind of Islam they are preaching is not the Islam that they know. What they are preaching is Fulanization and not Islam. They were preaching Fulanization. Hausa people were being tricked. They thought it was about religion. It wasn't religion. It was about Fulanization. Then they succeeded in using Hausa to kill their own people. They penetrated into the Hausas, and now you can see that most of the rulers you can see there in the northern part of Nigeria are all emirs, Fulani emirs. The Fulanis are in charge everywhere in the north. Everywhere in the north. Wherever you see an Hausa person, you will see that that Hausa person is living under threat. Is living under threat. Or the Hausa person is being used as a stooge. No Hausa person have an authority in the north. No, not even one. No Hausa, single Hausa man have authority in the north. These are the owners of the land. Hausas are the owners of the north. We can call them the owners of the north. In as much as we have so many tribes in the north, we know we have more tribes in the north more than we have in the south. There are so many tribes in the north, so many indigenous tribes in the north, more than we have in the south. Some of us think that it's only Hausa. It is not only Hausa we have in the north. There are so many of them. If I begin to name them, there are so many of them in the north. They are not only Hausas. But these people today, Hausa was the major population in Nigeria. Hausa was the majority in the north. But they came and took over the Hausas, killed the Hausa leaders. Today, the message you are hearing is the message of Fulanis and not the message of Hausas. That same trick is what they have used to enter into Nigeria, penetrating into the southern part of Nigeria now to begin to use our own people against us. And history will always repeat itself if you decide not to listen to history or look inward. That same thing that this Ottoman that followed you, the Fulani people did to the Hausas, is what they are doing in the southern part of Nigeria today. And they are succeeding. If not for our Supreme Leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who have stood his ground to begin the awakening since 2012, he started the awakening, shouting and crying on Radio Biafra, and people started to wake up. If not for that, Nigeria would have been gone by now. Nigeria would have been gone by now. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started to create that awareness. He started creating awareness from all corners, all angles, begin to shout on top of his voice for people to hear. And people began to wake up. That is why you still see some people remaining in Nigeria talking about one Nigeria. If not, the Fulanis have succeeded. They planted their stooge even in Biafra land. They have their stooge in Biafra land. Biafran Igbos who are standing for Fulanis, defending Fulani with everything they have. We have Biafran Ijos who are defending Fulanis with everything they have. We have Biafran Efik who are defending Fulani with all their power, with all their strength. We have Oduduwas who are defending Fulanis with everything they have. We have people from the Middle Belt who are defending Fulanis, are ready to die for Fulanis. And they are paying their bills. This is the trick the Fulani have been using. They use it for their houses, it works for them. And they are using it upon the southern part of Nigeria, and it's working for them. What they do is that they will pick up one person, they will equip that person with everything they have through the help of the British. They will equip them with the wealth, equip them with the personality, grow them and lift them very high so that they will begin to suppress their own people. These are the people they have raised. They raise these people to stand against their own people and make sure that their own people do not have a say. They have been doing it from every angle, from every sort. Some people did not realize this mistake until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came on board. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came on board and he began to blow the whistle. Begin to blow whistle from all angles. He blew whistle. First of all, started with the Biafrans. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started with the Biafrans. And it wasn't an easy message. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu preached a hard message. Even causing people, telling you the way you are. The truth and nothing but the truth. It wasn't a lie. It wasn't a propaganda. Initially, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu started, people thought it was a propaganda. Some people thought it was a lie. Some people called him a warmonger. Some people called him an ethnic bigot. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continued. He continued to preach to his own people. He started with the Biafrans. He tried as much as possible to unify the whole Biafrans. And Biafrans begin to speak on one voice. Biafrans begin to realize whom they are. Biafrans begin to realize whom they are. Biafrans woke up and they joined Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Every one of us stood up from our slumber. We begin to speak and we begin to cry about the situation, about what is coming. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continues. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu extended his message to our brothers in Oduduwa land. He extended his message to our brothers in Oduduwa land. Some people who didn't understand him thought he was against Oduduwa people. They thought he was against the Yorubas. They thought he was talking down on the Yorubas. But Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that you and I know, respect the Yorubas so much. He respects the sincere Yorubas, the real Yorubas, the people who are standing for their own people. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu respect them so much. Somebody like Pa Ayo Adebanjo, each time Mazi Nnamdi Kanu mentioned the name of Pa Ayo Adebanjo, he mentioned his name with respect. He gave him a lot of respect and a lot of accolade. And this is one man standing out in Yoruba land, a man that is very, very consistent. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in love with him to the extent that even during his own birthday, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sent delegate to represent him in the birthday of Pa Ayo Adebanjo. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu continued to preach the message until our Oduduwa brothers woke up. They woke up fully and they begin to fight. They begin to speak on the same manner as we are speaking. They began to speak. They began to cry. Sunday Igboho rose up. Sunday Igboho rose up and took up the challenge in the Oduduwa land. And he began to fight. He began to fight to see that the people are being liberated. What happened? The Janjaweed, as usual, used their stooge in Yoruba land, used their stooge in Oduduwa land, and begin to fight against Sunday Igboho. They fought against Sunday Igboho. Their politicians, their traditional rulers fought against Sunday Igboho. Even when they knew that Sunday Igboho was standing for the right thing, he was only asking for the safety of his own people, asking for the security of his own people. They refused to protect his own people. Sunday Igboho even called them to protect his own people. Before ever Sunday Igboho took action, he called the governor of the state to protect the people of Ibaraba. Go and protect these people. They are being killed. Wakili was raining havoc. A Fulani warlord was raining havoc in the hometown of Sunday Igboho. Nobody did anything until Sunday Igboho rose up. When Sunday Igboho rose up to stand for his people, what happened? People begin to come from all corners to fight against Sunday Igboho. The Fulani stooge in Yoruba land begin to fight against Sunday Igboho. they planned, at the end of the day, they planned to assassinate him, and Sunday Igboho escaped. Why Sunday Igboho was escaping from his life? They went up to the extent of going to Benin Republic to kidnap Sunday Igboho, and today Sunday Igboho is still in captivity in Benin Republic. He is still in Benin Republic. Even when we saw, after Sunday Igboho was being arrested in Benin Republic, we saw the leaders in Oduduwa land going to Benin Republic, saying that they were going to, in solidarity for Sunday Igboho, to go and speak on behalf of Sunday Igboho, not knowing that they were going to cement his arrest. Obasanjo was there. Ooni of Ife was there. So many other prominent people in Yoruba land went to Benin Republic to cement the arrest of Sunday Igboho. That is why Sunday Igboho is still in captivity today. This is what Fulani can do. That is how strong they can. That is how strong they can. Even the traditional rulers in the southern part of Nigeria, they are all in the armpit of the Fulanis. The Sultan of Sokoto is controlling all the traditional rulers you can think of in Nigeria, and they have no say, including Ooni of Ife. And they have no say. They have no say. The Fulanis are in control. They planted people everywhere, including in your own local government. Fulanis have an agent. That is why the war we are fighting is not a strong war, and it's going to intensify in 2022. In 2022, it's going to intensify. That is why you have to be very much aware, because 2022 is their last year. It's the last year they have to achieve their aim. 2022 is the last year they have to achieve their aim. You have to stay awake. These Fulani Janjaweeds are not playing. They are not joking. You see what they did to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did nothing wrong. He has not committed any crime. He was only asking for self-determination. Allow his people a referendum to decide their fate. That was the only crime Mazi Nnamdi Kanu committed. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in Britain for a very long time, preaching his message, preaching his gospel. Have you ever had any day that the British government invited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Have you ever had any one day that police invited Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in UK? If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was saying the thing that is wrong, if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was a propagandist, or if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was lying, he would have been invited by British authority. At least, as much as we know, Britain have one of the best police you can talk of in the world. They have one of the best. So if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not sincere, if he was lying or blackmailing people on Radio Biafra in London, how do you think that he can broker for such long? Up to date, there has never been any place where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was invited or found guilty of any crime in UK. Never. But what did they do? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu traveled to Kenya. Africans being what they are, because Africa never respect humanity. Africa, they never respect humanity. So many people in Africa don't believe in the truth. They don't follow the truth. They are only after their stomach. As long as they are seeing food in their stomach, they don't care what you are doing. It was only when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu traveled to Africa, that was when the Janjaweed succeeded in their plan to connive with Kenya to kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu entered Kenya with his British passport. He didn't commit any crime. He didn't commit any crime. He entered Kenya with a British passport. He stayed in Kenya. He was stamped in. They kidnapped him and sent him to Nigeria to extraordinary rendition. But did you ask yourself, why is it that Britain is not fighting for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? If Britain feel that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is guilty, why didn't Britain kidnap Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by themselves in their land? That is how sane a white man is. That is the difference between white men and black men. White men, even though they are evil, they have their own evil. They are evil, but they have majority who cannot come openly to display their evil acts. There are still people who will challenge evil when it happens openly. That is the difference between the white and the black. They still consider humanity in certain states. Even when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was preaching against British in their own land, they knew that he was saying the truth and he was not lying. They couldn't be able to take him. But when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came to Kenya, they connived with Kenya, including Britain, with the Nigerian government, connived with Kenya and kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya. And it was only in black African countries that such was permitted. Ask yourself why. This is to show you that Africa, we are not yet ready. We are not yet ready. We better begin to change our mindset. We have to. We have a lot of work to do. We have been blaming the white men for a very long time. In as much as I know that they are the one that caused our slavery and have left. But why are we yielding ourselves to evil? Why is it that we are giving ourselves up to evil? Why is it so easy for a black man to yield to evil? Whenever they are, more especially Nigerians, even Biafras themselves, including Biafra. When I say black man, including everybody, Biafra will do. Why is it that we yield so easily to fraud, to something that is wrong? But it is difficult for us to defend that which is right. Kenya went into kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, an innocent man. They kept him 8 good days, torturing him. After torturing him with the wrong information that Nigeria gave them that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist, they found out that this man is innocent. Instead of releasing him and allowing him to go back to where he's come from and say sorry for what they have done, they send him to Nigeria through extraordinary rendition. That is how wicked black African countries are. Black African countries, that is how wicked they are. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about another person. They can give out, sell out anybody for peanut. And look at where we are today. All this evil we have perpetrated against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, nobody was standing up and fighting for him until he was seven. As I'm speaking to you now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still being tortured in the country called Nigeria. Instead of people speaking about the torture of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the extraordinary, the crime that the Janjaweed have committed against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they are busy demonizing people who are standing up for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The contractors called Nigeria are busy even covering the whole evil they have done. Are you talking about the international community? Instead of the United States to stand up and give Nigeria more sanction, they are removing a sanction that is upon them already because of their own selfish interest. Do you see that they don't care about you? They can't fight for you except you fight for yourself. Nobody's going to fight for you. Except you fight for yourself, nobody will fight for you. Britain is busy cementing their bilateral relationship with Nigeria, even when their own citizen with their passport was kidnapped and tortured and still being tortured up to date. They discussed the issue, they never mentioned it. What they are trying is to help Nigeria to play low the situation. Go to their conventional media in Nigeria. They are not talking about the kidnap and the killing of Boko Haram anymore. They are not talking about it. Now, as we enter 2022, the election will take over. You will see people begin to talk about election only. Only election, election, and election, election. They will begin to change the narrative, begin to divert the attention of people. Distraction from all corners. Why are you buying into those distractions? And some people are bent on buying into those distractions. This is why I come online on a daily basis to say what I know and give you information on the facts of what is on ground. And for those of us who are leading distraction, some of us Biafrans, Oduduans, who are, don't be distracted. Do not be distracted. Continue to call out the main culprits. The main culprit. We have a single enemy that wants to take out every indigenous tribe in Nigeria. This is not about religion. It is not about religion. It's not about Arabic. It is about a particular set of people. The Fulani Janjaweed who have come from the Sahel to subdue every indigenous tribe in the country of Nigeria and take over. That is the real deal, and that is what is actually happening. It is not a hate speech. When we say it, people call it, it is not a hate speech. It's not a hate speech. Instead of the country of Nigeria coming to fight against the terrorists, telling us about it, they don't talk about the terrorists. They are only telling us about today now. What you hear today on their conversation is about kidnapping. They talk about kidnapping, and the kidnappers they are talking about, they talk about the kidnapping in Imo State, in the southern part of the southeast to be precise. Forgetting that the main kidnapping, the major and the main kidnapping is happening in the north, where they are killing people. Boko Haram are still kidnapping. The bandits are kidnapping in the north. And if you don't understand the situation, I am going to allow you to watch a video. I will play a video for you. This video I'm going to play is going to reveal a lot of things. It's going to be revealing a lot of things to you. Because sometimes when we are speaking on our own, people will think it's only us that we're telling lies, or it's only us that are speaking. Even some of the things we are saying are the things that are very open in their conventional media. Some people who still have the balls, like this man I'm going to play with his video, Buba Galadima. Buba Galadima is one of the men that have balls to challenge the government and say it the way it is in some issues. And I'm going to play his video. Watch this video carefully from beginning to the end. You begin to understand the mess that the contraption called Nigeria is in.
So the situation is so bad. I don't think even the Boko Haram that we were told has been technically decimated is correct. Just last weekend or this weekend, they kidnapped people between Damaturu and Maiduguri. Over 40 people were kidnapped. And maybe you are aware or you are not aware, 2-3 days ago again, nearly the same time, in the old city of Sokoto, prayers for morning prayers was called at about 2 a.m. in Sokoto. People unsuspecting of what was happening just congregated to the mosque, and every one of them, including the imam, were picked, and as I speak to you, their locations or no contact with them is unknown.
So we'll try to confirm that story.
You can confirm that. And bandits have taken over Kaduna Abuja expressway, and consecutively for 3-4 days in the same place, they were kidnapping people and killing people, maiming people, as if there is no security, there aren't security people at all in the vicinity of Abuja and Kaduna. But Nigerian security system had deployed over 100,000 security men, police, DSS, civil defense, custom, immigration for Anambra elections. If they have that kind of personnel, why don't they, for a civic duty, why can't they deploy them to assist us? Me, I lost my senior brother in Damaturu. My wife lost her junior sister. As I speak to you, we can't go. We can't go. We have no money.
You can't attend the burial?
We can't. I say even to condole the remaining family members. We can't make it. How can we? I don't have, well, maybe we'll give me air ticket to go to Maiduguri. But even if I reach Maiduguri, how do I go to Damaturu with what I have told you? So all these lies that people make, let's be objective and honest as Nigerians. Let's talk to each other. This issue is not politics. This issue is not ethnicity. This issue is not religion. This issue is not where you come from. We are all in it. Me in Yobe is in it. Sokoto, Imo, all are in it. So it is for all of us to try to sort out this problem. It is not shouting at each other that can sort out the problem. Nigerian leaders must understand that they are occupying a position of trust. And the first word in the Constitution, the essence of any government, is the protection of lives and property. They shouldn't think that they are more patriotic and more Nigerian than some of us. Of course, some of us are more than them in patriotism, and they know that, because some of them are ordinary thieves. If you can, if one man out of his senses can steal 60 billion, we were told by the chairman of EFCC, what is he going to do with that?
That's an unnamed governor in the North Central withdrawing 60 billion naira cash.
So you even know?
Over some years.
So you even know?
I can confirm that one.
What does he intend to do with that one? Me, 0.01% of that money is 6 million naira. If I have that today in my account, I wouldn't be able to sleep in the tonight. In account. If I see it physically, maybe I will faint. To quote from Justice Ovey Whiskey of the famous Shagari Fedeko. 6 million in my house. How do I sleep?
But some will say you're well-to-do. You headed a grade A parastatal.
Grade A.
In the past.
That was also small. At 1975, I was managing $500 million US in River State. 75. And I still sleep in a 2-bedroom house with the zinc roof. I was director of.
I hope you have seen what the man have said. If you have listened to him properly, that is exact situation of Nigeria. The situation of Nigeria in the northern part of Nigeria is helpless. It's a helpless situation. But when you come to the conventional media, they continue to pretend. It is very difficult to find this kind of men speaking out. It is very, very difficult. This is a recent video, very, very recent video on the situation of the nation. Insecurity in the northern part of Nigeria cannot be, it has gotten worse. People do not visit their neighbors anymore. People do not visit their relatives anymore in the northern part of Nigeria. But what is the government doing? Nothing. Instead, they are busy stealing much more money. Instead, they are busy accumulating more money for themselves. Instead, they are busy accumulating much more money for themselves. And nobody's saying anything. Nobody's doing anything. And when you come out to talk, some idiots, even from the southern part of Nigeria, will tell you, we talk about one Nigeria. Where are you going to get that one Nigeria that is good? You have what that man is saying. But the only mistake he's making when he's talking, this thing is affecting everybody, every religion, every tribe, every indigenous tribe. The only people that are the killers, are the troublemakers, is the Fulani Janjaweed. It is the Fulanis, they are the ones. The Fulanis are the ones, they are the troublemakers, right from origin. Even before the coming of Muhammadu Buhari, even before the coming of the late Muhammadu Buhari, they have been the troublemakers. Britain handed them over this very contract. Britain handed them over this very company called Nigeria. The company called Nigeria was handed over to the Fulanis to continue to manipulate through the Sultan of Sokoto. That is why you see them always paying homage to Sultan of Sokoto. That is why you see them, every president you have in Nigeria is a patron to a terrorist group. Every single president you have in Nigeria is always a patron to a terrorist group, Miyetti Allah. Do you know that Goodluck Jonathan was a patron to Miyetti Allah? Muhammadu Buhari is a patron to Miyetti Allah, and so many other presidents in the past. They have always been patron to this Miyetti Allah group, the fourth most dangerous terrorist group in the world. That is why you have to begin to ask for a way out. Look for a way to save yourself, because nobody's going to save you. Nobody's good. And this issue, this is the situation. It is very difficult to get this information. And when they come, they don't last. This was something that was aired in the AIT. This man was saying this in AIT, in a commercial media. If I say it on my channel, people might call it a hate speech. They say, why are we talking about it? That is a lie. But look at somebody from the north giving you the true situation of the northern part of Nigeria, that the insecurity cannot be managed. It has grown worse than ever. The actual fact is that the northern part of Nigeria is in the hand of the terrorists. Even the man himself is still painting what? He's still painting what? Not saying it the way it is. The northern part, most of the northern part of Nigeria is controlled by the terrorists as I speak to you. And what are you doing in the southern part of Nigeria? Southerners are just keeping silent, thinking that they are free. You are not free. The occupation of the southern part of Nigeria is being orchestrated by the military. The Janjaweed are using the military to take over the southern part of Nigeria. They are using the military because they have seen that Boko Haram in their uniform cannot penetrate the southeastern part of Nigeria mainly. Boko Haram in their uniform cannot penetrate the southern part of Nigeria. Buhari knows that. Late Buhari knows that. The imposter in Asarab knows that. He knows that the terrorists cannot penetrate. The Fulanis can never take over the southern part of Nigeria by themselves. They can't. They can't. With their foot soldiers, they can't. What did they do? They introduce the terrorists. They first of all tell us that they have repented Boko Haram. This Boko Haram that have repented, they now introduce into the military. After introducing them into the military, they push them down with uniform to the southern part of Nigeria, and they are the people causing the mayhem in the southern part of Nigeria as we speak. Every destruction you are seeing in the southern part of Nigeria, every killing you are seeing in the southern part of Nigeria, mainly in the southeast in Biafra land, is being caused by terrorists in uniform, in military uniform, supported by Asarok. That is the truth. It is not a lie. It's not a propaganda. There are evidence that are pointing to that. There are evidence. It is only a terrorist that will go to an innocent man's house, burn his house and property. A man that has not committed any crime. If you feel that this man or woman committed a crime, why not you take him or her to court? That is what your law says. That is what the law of Nigeria says. Take the person to court to go and answer for him or herself. But they wouldn't do that. Instead, they will prefer staying behind and begin to destroy people, killing people indiscriminately without taking them to court. Why are they killing people in the southeastern part of Nigeria? Simply because you are identified as a Biafra, they will kill you. Is there any law that said that nobody will be identified as a Biafra? Even when they know that we are indigenous people of Biafra. We didn't make ourselves Biafrans. We are born Biafrans, and that is what we are. Biafra itself has been existing before Nigeria. It has been existing. It has been in existence before Nigeria, and you can't change it. It doesn't matter how they try. They can never change it. And that is the obvious truth. The truth and nothing but the truth. But they continue to deny it. continue to use their imposter in the southern part of Nigeria to intimidate people and make people to buy into their own issues. There are so many informations out there that elude us most of the time. Sometimes when we see them, we ignore them, but those things are fact. They are not propaganda. When we say them, people call it propaganda, but it is not. The government that we have is a government that wants to kill its people and has no plan to protect its people. Let us watch another video clip and continue to go from there.
Why don't you spread so that you...
If you think that what is happening in the southern part of in the north is a joke, if you think when we talk about the insecurity in the north, you think it's a joke, I'm going to play a video to show you exactly how people are escaping from the north, how terrible it is. It is not a joking matter. It is. That is it. So when we are talking about the situation, it is not a joke. It is not a propaganda. We back it up with videos. Each information we bring on board, we back it up with videos to keep you awake on what is happening. Let us watch another clip about this issue.
Why don't you spread so that you sleep well in your house?
Well, some of them are stashed in foreign accounts. But you said this is not a time to begin to shout at each other. It's a time to seek for solutions.
No, the solution is simple. I mentioned the three words: poverty, ignorance, and disease. Now, we are being punished for the stealing of some people. I just read when coming with my friend Mike Olayanju, where he's there waiting for me. In the paper, we just bought the paper. And at the back of the Daily Trust, they said one Abubakar Adam Ibrahim wrote and said that, look, Nigerians are tired of Buhari and Buhari is tired of Nigeria. That's the caption. Do you know that it entails a lot of information? The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, whom I respect very well, is a wife to my schoolmate, Shamsuna Ahmed. She told us, and I can quote her, that they are borrowing over $2 billion US, which I just saw again, approved in the paper.
Of almost $5 billion US approved.
Approved for infrastructure, provide roads, provide bridges, provide this, provide that. They had earlier done that severally and borrowed. Now we borrowed over $50 billion US.
Is it
but no Nigerian is asking. It's okay, we've been borrowing. Every Nigerian is indebted. You will be arrested one day and be taken to China or London.
The Debt Management Office told us just a few days ago that total national debt has risen from 35 to 38 trillion. That was before the approval of almost $5 billion.
Okay, let me just come. So, can't we ask a question? Who does this money belong to? Who is going to pay this money? Is this government or our children? Can't we ask a question and ask them, it's okay, you've borrowed all this. What have you done with it? Show us. Why can't Lai Mohammed come and show us on television how they expended over 50 billion US dollars loan?
Is it up to 50 billion? We'll confirm that.
But why don't you do the arithmetic? You told me about 30-something trillion.
Yes.
When you convert that to dollar, how much does it?
Some of them are owned by states anyway. But the
who is responsible for approving the foreign loan?
Yeah, the federal government.
Just listen. I didn't land because I'm talking about Nigeria's problem and insecurity.
Yes.
And insecurity. Now, she again some few days ago came out to tell us, look, that they want to increase fuel money from how much is it?
162.65
to 380. I had people say it's 340. It's 380. When I saw it, you know, I said no. I think there are people in this government that I know before to be intelligent. Before. I don't know what has happened to their brain, because a friend of mine who was former governor told me something. You know, you don't stop learning. What he told me is that when you become governor or president, they chop off your head and give you to keep on one side and carry the head of a donkey and put on you, on your body. It is when you finish the governorship or being president or chairman that they remove the head of the donkey and put the head, your proper head, on your body. Then you start wondering, is it correct? Was it me that took such an action?
But such situation could be avoided if the leader is proactive and anticipates such moves.
But they don't now. That's why they are wearing the head of a donkey. I know some of them to be very, very intelligent before. I know. I don't know what has happened to them today. So how can you now put pain over pain? We are excruciating with pain, just like Stalin's Soviet Union. He came to the parliament holding a chicken, and he was removing the feathers of the chicken. The chicken was crying, excruciating in pain. And when he finished, he dropped the chicken and threw some grains, and the chicken ran to the grains. Is it what these guys want to turn us to in Nigeria? How can you tell me that you are increasing fuel money and double everything? Everything you double when you increase that fuel money. And then you say you are building bridges, you are building roads for us. Please tell your friends who are asking you not to bring me to this focus Nigeria. Tell them that
nobody is asking us not to.
All we need, all that we need from them is to please take us to the Boko Haram days of Jonathan. If they do that, we will congratulate them for a job well done in 8 years. We don't need their bridges. We don't need their roads. We don't need their anything. Please help me beg the president and his government that they should stop that loan increase in fuel. Let them leave us as we are. After all, Jonathan, because of...
You have heard it. I hope you understand it better. This man, you see, why I play some videos that I play here is that most of the time, when you see us talking alone, it will seem as if we are making noise. When we are talking without showing you some video, it will seem as if it's only Biafrans that are complaining. It's only Odudu ones that are complaining. But let me tell you, every single thing we are saying is the actual situation in that country called Nigeria. You see the way that man described the situation of Nigeria. That is exactly the way it is. He described the situation of Nigeria. When you take a fowl, you bring a fowl, you begin to peel all the body, the skin of the fowl. You begin to take away the feather. You know how painful it is to the fowl. You pull the feather, you pull it out. After pulling the feather, you throw the fowl, then you throw some corn to the fowl, and the fowl will still rush to go and eat that corn. That is exactly what is happening in the country of Nigeria. That is what is happening in the country of Nigeria. After causing so much pain to the indigenous people, after causing so much pain, they will now throw peanut for them. And then because of poverty, they will still rush and begin to take it. But Biafran says it's enough. Biafrans have said enough is enough. Biafrans do not want to be part of it anymore. Biafrans do not want to be part of it. That is the difference between Biafrans and any other ethnic group. That is different. Biafrans cannot continue to die in silence. They cannot continue to pretend. That is why we are shouting on top of our voices. You can see that everything that we are saying on daily basis is not different from what they are saying. Some of them are saying. And a man like this, Buba Galadima, doesn't always have opportunity to speak in their conventional media. He doesn't always have the opportunity. We all might have our different ways of agitating, but Biafrans are the only people that are standing bold through the help of our student Namazi Nnamdi Kanu, through the strength that our student Namazi Kanu have impacted and knowledge he have impacted in us. We are bold to ask for what we want. The only thing that will solve the problem in the country of Nigeria is what? A referendum. Self-determination, and each region will go to their own side and begin to develop themselves, begin to build a nation that they can be patriotic to and defend. There is no single person living on the planet Earth that is patriotic to Nigeria. No, not even one. Nobody is patriotic to Nigeria. You can see that man, another man, crying the way he's explaining. He's even begging the imposter. He's begging the imposter to return Nigeria to where it was when Jonathan was there. That he should return Nigeria to the Boko Haram days of Jonathan. That is what the man was saying in that video. Later, go and watch it again. Go and watch the video again. He's begging the government to return Nigeria where it is. That is why Nigeria can never ever be good. It doesn't matter how you try. Because they are still holding on that faulty foundation. As long as Nigeria is holding on that faulty foundation, it can never ever be better. It doesn't matter how you try. It doesn't matter how you try. Nigeria will never be good. For those people who call themselves one Nigerianists, all those one Nigerianists, those who are pretending, both from Oduduwa side, from Biafra side, from Middle Belt, from the north, everyone that is pretending that Nigeria will be better, Nigeria will never ever be better. It can never, and it is not a curse. It's not. This is the reality. It is the truth. Even if as you are preparing for the 2022, assuming you succeed in putting somebody in 2022, it doesn't matter who you put. Put an Igbo man, put a Yoruba man, put a Nefik man, put an Ijaw man. Nigeria will be worse than it is today. Nigeria can never ever. It is not because I'm saying it, and it is not a cause. It is the reality. And even somebody have said the same thing in their Senate. I am going to play it for you to remind you what somebody have said in their Senate. A senator in their Senate said that Nigeria can never ever be better. It doesn't matter how you try. Let's watch and see.
When a nation or republic cannot keep faith with justice and with the truth, it will never
done day by day.
When a nation or republic cannot keep faith with justice and with the truth, it will never achieve unity. It will never achieve peace, and it will never achieve progress. Mr. President, sir, one of us quoted from this constitution and went ahead to make prescription for how to move forward. I dare to tell this nation today that this is the problem. This constitution can never give us progress. This constitution can never give us peace. This constitution can never give us unity. And unfortunately, most of us in this National Assembly, we don't have the spine to face what we need to give this republic to have peace and progress. What do I mean? This constitution has 68 items. 68 on the exclusive list. This constitution has only 12 on the concurrent list. And those 12 are written so nebulously, so fraudulently, that you know that the intention is to even undermine those concurrent lists. That is why those who want unity and peace in Nigeria must first remember that the name of our republic is not just Nigeria. The formal name of this republic is Federal Republic of Nigeria. Unfortunately, we don't run a federalist system in Nigeria. Otherwise, what is so unique about all those things that are in the exclusive list? We used to have a parliamentary system, and then we wanted unity, we wanted peace, we wanted progress, and we therefore said we are going to go with a presidential system. Honestly, there are many presidential systems in the world that have peace and progress. I can't quarrel with that. But we must put in place the same safeguards that presidential system across the world put in place, so that you can have what it needs to run the society.
You've heard it. I hope you got it. Maybe each time we come online and begin to shout about these issues, people think we are making it up. People think because we are the ones saying it, they won't believe it. Now that you have heard from somebody, a senator in the House of Senate, in the past Senate, a senator telling us that Nigeria will never ever know progress. Nigeria will never have security. They will never know success until their constitution is thrown to the dustbin. Until the constitution is thrown, this is the only man. This is the only man that have been able to prescribe the problem to the Nigerian government. The only man who was bold enough to stand up to speak about it, asking them to throw away that constitution. But what are they doing today? They are still protecting that constitution, including by killing people. Even people in the southern part of Nigeria, they are protecting that same constitution that is making sure there is no peace, making sure there is no security, making sure there is no good economy. They are still protecting that very constitution by all means, including killing people, to protect that very constitution. The Fulani Janjaweed are using their stooge in the southern part of Nigeria to make sure they protect that constitution by all means possible, even when they know that the constitution is flawed. A constitution that makes sure that people can never ever know peace and have equality. That constitution made it possible that there will never be any justice anywhere. Injustice is established in that very constitution. Injustice. But when you see some of those idiots coming online, including Obasanjo, when you see him online, he will tell you that he wants a Nigeria where there will be justice and equity. He wants a Nigeria where there will be free. Where would that be such a Nigeria when you are using a constitution that empowers inequality? A constitution that is making sure that everybody is not equal. Everybody is even impoverished. A constitution that is empowering injustice. They are still holding on it very strong. And this is why this is the only man in the government circle. This is the only man that have prescribed the simple solution to their problem. They rejected it totally. The next man that have the solution is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has given a solution that will put a permanent end to the destruction of the innocent life in the country of Nigeria. Self-determination. Self-determination for the Biafrans. Self-determination for the Udua people. Self-determination for the Middle Belt. Self-determination for every indigenous tribe in the country of Nigeria. What did they do? They want to kill him because he's fighting for the right thing. They want to kill Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by all means because he's speaking up for his people. Speaking up for every indigenous tribe. The common enemy who is making sure that every other person is impoverished is the Fulani Janjaweed. They are the only people that the British company is paying their bill. The only people who are enjoying this British company is the Fulani Janjaweed and no other. The Fulani Janjaweed, they are the only people enjoying the company of the British and some other students that they have bought in the country of Nigeria. Some other people they have employed in the southern part of Nigeria. Somebody like Tinubu, somebody like Rochas Okorocha and his family, and Hope Uzodinma. They are the people who will make sure that Nigeria continues to exist. People like Obasanjo, you see Obasanjo, when he wants to talk, he begin to hit his chest. He will tell you how old he is. He will tell you how the powers he has. Talking about his own self. He doesn't even care about his own children. Leaders who don't care about their own children, they have been telling you leaders of tomorrow. Some of people who have been hearing about leaders of tomorrow today, they have grown gray hair. They have grown gray hair. Leaders of tomorrow. But when they saw a leader like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu coming out to give the solution to the problem of Nigeria so that everybody will be free, practice what you want to practice. Have your own nation and practice what you. If you want to practice Sharia, practice your Sharia in the northern part of Nigeria, which you have already accepted. Already you have accepted it. You are already practicing it. You are already practicing it. And in the southern part of Nigeria, people are practicing their secular system. The secular system is already existing in the south. Why don't you allow these people to go their separate ways? Conduct a referendum so that people can choose where they belong. This is the only thing that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is asking. And because of this, they demonized him. They went and kidnapped him from Kenya and renditioned him. And today they are torturing him. And even when we ask for the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you see idiots, those Fulanis in the north, even those who are not Nigerians, they will come out and begin to make noise and say that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will not be released. Even when the leaders in the southeast part of Nigeria have stood low to go and begin to beg, instead of demanding for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they are begging. And because of that begging, the Fulani Janjaweeds and their cohorts in the north are now talking down on them, saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will not be released, talking all manner of trash for somebody who is asking for a genuine reason, who has a genuine reason to fight. And let me play a video with you so that we can continue from that place to see what this Fulani Janjaweed in the north are doing, what they are saying against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the reason why you have to stand up. You that you call yourself a Biafran, you that call yourself someone who is fighting for justice, you that is a freedom lover, you have to start to speak up for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release now. As we are entering 2022, this is the time you have to intensify whatever you are doing, because this is not a joke anymore. It is not a joke anymore. Let us go into another video to tell you the evil they are planning and how they are standing against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The reason why you have to stand up and speak up for what they are trying to do. Let us watch this video.
It was very clear. We said the country is already facing a huge amount of challenges. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu, because some people have said, okay, forgive the boy, he's a young man, he's saying also the wrong things. Give us Nnamdi Kanu, he will not be a problem for you. Will be playing into the hands of people again who are already threatening the corporate existence, the territorial integrity, the peace and stability of Nigerians. And we advise that the president shouldn't do that. He will be breaching a fundamental principle of the of constitutionalism, which is separation of powers. He will be intervening in a judicial process which is in course. He has gone down on record of refusing to allow even people whose bail has been ordered by courts. There's no reason the Igbo elders, with due respect to them, have given to the president, other than that they will make sure that Nnamdi Kanu does not cause a problem. There's nothing on the ground that suggests that he will not do that. He's caused so much problem, including running away from bail. We have weighed this. We didn't say anything between the time the president said, I'll consider it, until yesterday when we released our statement. So it's a measured statement. We took note of the values of political settlement of issues. We considered options. We considered the merit of the case, and we came out and said, don't do it. And the president was wrong to have said there and then that I'll consider it, because he gave all the right reasons why it is not fair to ask a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who has sworn by the Quran, he would swear by the Bible if he's a Christian, that he will defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he will protect the rights of all Nigerians to peace and security. For him to say, I can't do this, you are tying my hands up, and then say, I'll consider it. Consider what? So now he's boxed himself into a corner. We have people there jubilating, say, the president says he will consider it. Now, if the president comes out later and says, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I've considered your request. I'm not going to stop the elections of Nnamdi Kanu, no matter what the benefits you are saying exist. I'm going to allow him. The trial. I'm going to allow him to prove whether he did these things where the state is alleging him to have done or not. And if he's found guilty at the end of it, then he has to pay the price.
The presidents, the governors have the powers, using Attorney General, to terminate whatever trial going on, not let prosecute. It's have been applied in the past.
Yes,
so what stops the president from using it?
Nothing, except that there could be stronger reasons than entering and only prosecuting and stopping the trial, and they exist. You have to weigh the consequences, and one of the consequences is that if the president says, yes, Nnamdi Kanu can walk free, wipe out all the things he's done, and then he says to him, go forth and sin no more, he'll be opening the doors for a lot of other people who are genuinely threatening the country. There are huge numbers of threats to this country. Nnamdi Kanu is not the only threat. What stops other people from coming forward to say, "Oh, Mr. President, you know, the bandits have maybe they had a reason for being bandits."
And there are calls on towards that regard.
Yes, the Boko Haram people have been fighting for 12 years. They couldn't have been fighting for nothing. They have issues. Mr. President, please, let's have a political solution to this.
You see these criminals, these people in the north. This is the reason why the Southerners have to wake up. Mainly the Biafrans, we have to wake up. We have to wake up and stay awake. These people are monsters. You see this man that is speaking, the man that you are hearing his voice, the man that you see speaking, he's not even a Nigerian. This man that is speaking on behalf of the Fulanese, he is a Mauritanian. He's not even a Nigerian. He is not even a Nigerian. This man that you just saw speaking is a Mauritanian. He's not a Nigerian. But look at him today, standing as the spokesperson of the Northern Forum. A Mauritanian, a Fulani Mauritanian, speaking on behalf of the Fulanese, saying that Mazen Nandekan will not release. He is talking about Mazen Nandekan, of releasing Mazen Nandekan, forgetting that the person they are talking about is an innocent man, a man who has not committed any crime. Mazen Nandekan has not committed any crime known to man. He has not. He didn't commit any crime in the UK. He didn't commit any crime in Kenya. This man was kidnapped. Mazen Nandekan was kidnapped from Kenya and renditioned to Nigeria. Sent to Nigeria through extraordinary rendition, an international crime. A British citizen. He was kidnapped in Kenya, tortured for good 8 days. After torturing him for 8 days, they sent him to Nigeria through extraordinary rendition. And up to today, they are still torturing this man. They are torturing Mazen Nandekan in DSS. Up till now, as I'm speaking to you. And this idiot, who is a Mauritanian, an idiot that is not even a Nigerian, a Fulani man from Mauritania, is coming to tell that Mazen Nandekan will not be released. Even when he knows that Mazen Nandekan has not committed any crime. He is there comparing Mazen Nandekan with terrorists and whatever. Mazen Nandekan has not killed any single soul that is known. Nobody anywhere can come and testify and say Mazen Nandekan has killed any soul. And when he comes, we are not talking about pardoning. What we are saying is that leave the man to go free because he has not committed any crime. We are not talking about pardon. He didn't commit any crime. And when you talk of bringing him to court, they have taken Mazen Nandekan to Nigeria through a rendition. This is more than 6 months. More than 6 months. The case of Mazen Nandekan there have never been any argument about the case of Mazen Nandekan. For good 6 months, that case has not been had. They brought him to the court to register the case. They brought him to court the second time. The next time they brought him to the court because of the complaint of the lawyers. The case of Mazen Nandekan has never been debated one day because they have nothing against him. They have nothing against him. There is no single evidence against Mazen Nandekan that he has committed any crime anyway. He was only asking for self-determination for his own people and asking for referendum. Self-determination and asking for referendum. And look at these people demonizing Mazen Nandekan, trying to make him look like a demon, like somebody who is making a trouble. You want to give an option that the only option for you to release Mazen Nandekan is for him to deny Biafra. When you know that I know and everybody knows that Mazen Nandekan can never ever deny Biafra. You see the reason why you have to stand up. This is the reason why you have to stand up and begin to act now before it is too late. Begin to embark on a massive civil disobedience. Massive civil disobedience. You see, even when he was talking about weighing the condition. That even before Mazen Nandekan will be considered, either the release of Mazen Nandekan will be considered, that they weigh the condition and weigh the situation. They weigh the situation outside. What situation are they going to weigh? The situation they are going to weigh is to see how Biafrans are reacting to the detention of Mazen Nandekan. They want to see and watch and see how you and I will react to the arrest of an innocent man. And this is not about Biafrans alone, even our Oduduwa brothers. If you don't react now, when it's going to be your own turn, nobody's going to cry for you. Nobody will speak for you. It has been oncoming. They have been killing and killing and killing. Nobody is doing anything. And when they kill somebody, you think you are waiting for it to happen for you before you speak. You see what they are saying. You see what that idiot is saying, that they are going to weigh the situation. After weighing the situation, before they will now begin to consider either to release him or not. And what situation are going to weigh? They are going to weigh and see how you are reacting. That is what they are going to weigh. This is why I get mad at people who are talking down on the seat at home. I get mad at people who are talking down on the seat at home we are calling upon. Sit at home Monday and Sunday. This is the time for you to wake up. Intensify in anything you are doing. Anything you are doing to see that Mazen Nandekan is being released, intensify in it. Increase that force. Because, let me tell you, the political solution they are talking about is just a political talk. And you know politicians are liars. You are dealing with born liars, people who lie to their bone. People who lie even to their own God, they lie. People who lie with everything, even with everything they have, they lie with it. You don't believe in them. Hearing what this idiot said, you can know how the kind of problem Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in. You can know the plans they have for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And the only thing that will release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is your action and my action. The only thing that will free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is your action and action. That is why you have to stand up and begin to pursue anything that will make Mazi Nnamdi Kanu free. If you are praying, pray more. In 2022, pray much more than ever. If you are embarking on sit at home more than ever in 2022. If you are acting, whatever action you are trying to act, let people be seeing it. Don't tell us you're doing something on the ground. That language of doing something on the ground is a political language and it's a fraud. Anybody telling that he or she is doing something on the ground is a great liar. A born liar. A born liar. You can see that even the political solution, it was the sit at home that everybody is seeing that gave birth to political solution that they are talking about. And we cannot stop what we are doing until we see it in action. The political solution must come to action before we stop. I will play this video again. Listen to this video from beginning to end, carefully to every single thing that man is doing. The accusation he's making on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a false accusation. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a terrorist and has not committed any crime. He was only broadcasting, requesting and asking for self-determination for his own people, referendum for his own people, for them to go their separate way, fighting for Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never fought for them. He is fighting against the terrorists. Even when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu established the ESN, ESN was there to fight against terrorists in the bushes. ESN was established to fight terrorists in the bushes, not other people in the city. They are not in the city. They are in the bush fighting. But today, they are turning against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, telling lies, even another religion.